After showing you guys the Hero versus Invoked Mekk Knight live duel, I became completely enamored with showing you a competitive Invoked deck profile. Not only because I think it's a very high level type deck, but also giving you guys budget options as well as alternative options for this deck. It's that good. You guys could say that I myself was invoked into showing you guys a perfect deck profile. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, go ahead and hit that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. I just want to give a special thanks to every single one of my Patreons. Without you guys, videos like this would not be possible. And welcome our newest Patreon, Max Smith, my boy, Dirty 30. I appreciate you for supporting the channel. Without further ado, I present to you a competitive Mekk Knight deck profile for this format. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so before we get into the deck profile, we gotta run at the stats, family. I think that Invoked Mekk Knight is a very powerful deck. It has the ability to top a YCS, if not win a YCS level event. I expect to see some tops in the 200th anniversary YCS events across the world. Also think that this deck could be pretty expensive if you guys want to go the YCS level event route. There's so many expensive cards in this Yu-Gi-Oh card game that you might have to side for that if you want to do it. But I think if you are still trying to reach a local or regional level event, there's some budget options that could be very much excusable. The deck does, it has a very slow grind to it now with the Sky Strikers being limited, but it's still very powerful at controlling the board. Starting off with the monsters, we run the Full Metal Alchemist himself, 3 copies of Alistair the Invoker. Basically, when he is normal summoned or flip face up, you can add 1 invocation from your deck to your hand. Consequently, you can discard him to target 1 fusion monster you control and give it 1,000 attack and defense. So he is probably the best monster in the deck, mainly because he keeps a steady engine of cards going. It allows you to constantly fusion summon and then provides himself as a hand trap to give your monsters a little bit of a boost. It's a really powerful overall card. It's the only invoked monster that goes into the main deck, unfortunately, but it's good enough. All of the fusion monsters from the invoked engine require Alistair the Invoker, so you want to run as many copies as possible. Next, we do follow up with the Mekk Knight engine, and I'm going to start off with not the daytime. We're actually going to start off with night. Purple Nightfall. Okay, that was pretty terrible, but Purple Nightfall is the best Mekk Knight monster available. It doesn't have the highest skill potential, but it has, or not the skill potential, it doesn't have the highest potential or the highest gains that you can get from this card, but it is the most versatile. By banishing 1 Mekk Knight monster you control, you can search a Mekk Knight monster from your deck to your hand. Keep in mind, it isn't just to himself. You can banish any of your Mekk Knight monsters on your side of the field, which could free up a column for you to summon other Mekk Knight monsters, and then search a Mekk Knight monster. So essentially, he can search you any Mekk Knight monster from your deck to your hand, as well as replace that monster. It comes back during your next standby phase. The monster with the biggest potential but isn't the greatest Mekk Knight is Mekk Knight Blue Sky. Now, in any variant, not pure Mekk Knights, I would not run more than 2 copies of this guy, but when he is special summoned, you get to add Mekk Knight monsters with different names up to the number, or actually the exact number of monsters in your opponent's column. So if they have a monster in the extra monster zone, a monster in the main monster zone, and a spell or trap card, you can add 3 different Mekk Knight monsters from your deck to your hand. That's what I'm talking about when I mean high potential. He isn't that great because, you know, he has low attack. You have to add that number of monsters, and even more importantly, you don't really need that many Mekk Knight monsters at all times, and also he can't move zones himself. That's it for the mandatory Mekk Knight monsters. I don't think that I would play any less than these 5 just off the bat. I think that you do have to play more Mekk Knight monsters to abuse Blue Sky, and we actually do that. I play 2 copies of Mekk Knight Indigo Eclipse. This guy is actually really clutch. If you're gonna cut down on the Mekk Knight engine, you definitely at least play one of these guys. What it does is he allows you to move Mekk Knight monsters from a zone to a different zone. So you do need, or from a column to a different column. You do need that column manipulation inside of your deck. And not only does Purple Nightfall give you that, Indigo Eclipse allows you to move to another column so you can summon more Mekk Knight monsters to your side of the field. Now, I do run a really high Mekk Knight count. I run 1 copy of Red Moon and 1 copy of Yellow Star, mainly because Yellow Star allows you to destroy spells and traps in the column, and Red Moon allows you to destroy monsters, and they mesh so well with the deck. I do run cards to get these cards off to my side of the field as fast as possible, and other ways to manipulate my board so I can special summon them even if I'm going first. So I do think that you could run a high number of Mekk Knight monsters, but if you guys want, you could cut it down to just There we are. Just the 3 perps, the 2 blues, the 1 indigo, and then one of your choice, whether it's yellow star or red moon, and then use these 2 additional cards for hand traps if you so choose, or whatever cards that you wish. I decided to run a high hand count or a high number count because I can actually take advantage of those Mekk Knight monsters. Next, we do play 6 hand traps. We play 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird, 2 copies of Effect Veiler, 2 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, as opposed to the live duel that you guys seen. I don't run Ghost Ogre, I run the Effect Veilers instead. Reason being is that I do think Effect Veiler is very powerful, and so is Ghost Ogre. Sometimes I actually want that card to stay on the field. Like, I don't want to Ghost Ogre my opponent's monsters because that's more cards that I can abuse with my Mekk Knight monster. So I thought Effect Veiler was a different choice. I'm not against running Ogres or even both inside of the main board. I think it's an excellent idea. For the people that can't afford it, you can actually just play Ogres, Effect Veilers, whatever hand traps that you guys have in your arsenal to disrupt your opponent. As long as you are playing hand traps, this deck actually loves to go second, but is still prepared to go first. That's it for the hand traps. Now I play the super secret spicy tech, and I'll be able to explain to you guys. If you guys seen the live duel, you're like, TheCaliEffect, please explain to me why you play this. 2 copies of Time Maiden. Now, I don't do any more extra or side deck profiles, mainly because side decks pretty much are all the same, except for when it comes to this deck. I probably should have gave you guys a side deck. This card is really good. I'm still in the testing phases, but so far it's been very fun to play. Basically, what I was looking for is a monster that was level 1 that could summon itself to the side of the field for free, and I came up with Jester Counterfeit and Time Maiden. Now, Time Maiden is really powerful because it's a light fairy monster. So you can pair it up with your Alistair, the Invoker, spell summon your Time Maiden, normal summon your Alistair, the Invoker. Since you have 2 monsters with different types and different attributes, you can make Alistair the Invoker of Madness off of there. Also, Time Maiden works really good with your Mekk Knight monsters because you can spell summon Time Maiden for free, use it to make a Link Krivo, set a card face down, and now you can get access to your Mekk Knight monsters. As well as if you guys are siding or decide to main any of the Time Lord cards, they're actually really solid cards, and Time Maiden kind of works with it really well. So I thought that was just too many reasons not to play Time Maiden in the main board. So far in testing, it's been pretty good. That's it for the monsters. At 20, at spells, we run 5 copies of Magical Meltdown. You want to get into this card as fast as possible. It's essentially your reinforcement of the army to your Alistair the Invoker. You're probably your only normal summon you'll ever commit to the game, but you want to commit to it almost every given time, every given opportunity that you can. Also, your opponent can't respond to your fusion summon. That's pretty good. We do run quite a bit of fusion cards. We run 3 copies of Invocation, 3 copies of Instant Fusion, and Book of Law. Now, Book of Law is probably more powerful now than ever before since Alistair, Invoker of Madness, can search it. So it really does allow you to turn your Ragins into Macabas, Macabas to Ragins, whatever you guys want. Instant Fusion is a really good card. So you can activate Instant Fusion to make Thousand Eyes Restrict. You can activate it to summon Ragin. You can activate it to summon almost any of your good extra deck monsters. And then you can abuse the fact that you have a monster in your extra monster zone, putting spell cards in spell trap card zone, and spell summon your Mekk Knight monsters for free. I think that it's really powerful. Invocation is good in 3 in my opinion. I think the best way to play Invocation is in 3s, and this is the reason why. Alistair the Invoker is probably going to be the most targeted sought after card that your opponent wants to stop. Whether it's Infinite Permanents, Effect Veilers, or Ash Blossoms and Joyous Spring, your opponent is going to want to stop that card. So I'm not necessarily going to, try to compensate by playing cards to help stop it, like, oh, well, Cypher Gear Gamma can't happen, and Called by the Grave is at 2. So just play a 3rd Invocation. Your opponent's going to Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring your Alistair. You're already going to have an Invocation in hand, so it's almost like they completely wasted it. Also, I play Pot of Desires, and banishing 2 Invocation when you play 2 Invocation, yeah, the rule of Pot of Desires is to play 3 of cards that you don't miss, and I have a couple of reasons for playing Invocation. I thought it was pretty fair. 2 copies of Pot of Desires. This is probably the most freest card in this particular build because there isn't a single card that I will banish 2 of and miss. Like, every single card that gets banished as a 2 of, I don't care about. I've already gained significant advantage through Pot of Desires, and it's just a very powerful card. It's a good card. I don't really know why people say it's a bad card. It's a very powerful card. 2 copies of Called by the Grave to stop my opponent from hand trapping me. 2 copies of Scapegoat and 2 copies of World Legacy Memory. Memory is really good for popping off with your plays. During your opponent's turn, you can World Legacy Memory your Mekk Knight Purple Nightfall, and then start abusing Purple Knight Nightfall on your opponent's turn to get free searches, and then it comes back to your side of the field. It's really good. Scapegoat is great, but you don't want to have these two cards in your opening hand at the same time or any given time at the same time, because if you activate Scapegoat, you can't activate Memory and vice versa. Fortunately enough, we do play 2 and 2, so both of them do have their places into the meta. Scapegoat allows you to just pop off and get a free link 4 as well as put monsters into your graveyard. Lastly, to follow up with the spell lineup, 1 copy of Monster Reborn and World Legacy Succession. These cards are just extenders to bring my fusion monsters back to my side of the field, and World Legacy Succession is actually searchable through our Mekk Knight Link monster. That is it for the main board. For the, actually some cards that you guys could play, I really wanted to play these cards, but you know, it is what it is. I felt that Super Polymerization was great, but you had to play extra dedicated, extra deck space to it. And I didn't want to mainboard the Kaliga. I didn't want to mainboard the Magalencia. I would probably sided with the appropriate card so I can super poly my opponent and just break their board. It's still really powerful. I just didn't want to commit the extra deck to it, especially since I'm really tight. Book of Eclipse is really good if you can spam out Paragon Trio. You can flip your opponents, all of your opponent's monsters face down, summon Paragon Trio and attack into every single one of them, possibly for game. Mind Control is also extremely good against the opponent, snatching their monster to use for link material with your Alistair the Invoker. And then I decided not to play the Sky Striker engine, mainly because Hornet Drones was at 1, and I couldn't, like, after you search your first Hornet Drones, you really don't do anything else. You can make the Kagari do all that cute stuff, but it doesn't seem like enough in my opinion. Yes, Sky Striker Hornet Drones is a 1 card Alistair the Invoker of Madness, but only having 1 Hornet Drones and no follow-up play with your other engages or however you wanted to play, it just didn't seem right. Another thing is Ghost Ogre. You know, there's so many ways you could play that card if you want to play those 8 hand traps. And then that's pretty much it. Let's go into this extra deck with the sun rising and the nightfall falling. I think we are ready for this Mekk Knight deck. That is pretty bad. But to the links, we run Broiled World Dragon and Broiled Sword Dragon for our link 4s. Snatch your opponent's monster, the best link 4 in the game, and this is the OTK card. It's really easy to go into when you have Scapegoat. 1 copy of Alistair the Invoker of Madness, 1 copy of Mekk Knight Morning Star. I think that I've used these cards pretty much equally. This card, like I said, allows you to search your World Legacy cards, whether it's Memory or Succession, and Alistair is just mad. There's so many combos with this card, it just makes the deck really, really dumb. It makes it insane, and it searches your Book of All for free. Next, you play the Nightmare card, so Nightmare, Phoenix, Goblin, and Unicorn, or I'm sorry, Phoenix, Cerberus, and Unicorn. Rest in peace, Goblin. And then instead of Link Spider, we just play 2 copies of Link Kuriboh. Thousand Eyes Restrict can make Link Kuriboh. The Scapegoat tokens make Link Kuriboh, and Time Maiden can make Link Kuriboh. So I just felt that this was better to play 2 copies of Link Kuriboh than Link Spider. I only can use Link Spider's for Scapegoat tokens. And my Nightmare monsters, I can just use a Link Kuriboh and a token, so it didn't really matter. 2 copies of Makabas for the extra deck. I don't think I need more than 2, unless you guys want to run the True King of Calamities combo. 2 copies of Ragin, 1 Paragon Trio. This is what you could take out for the Makaba, and Thousand Eyes Restrict. Pretty much everything in here is self-explanatory. You need the 2 Ragins for a combo. You need the 2 Makabas. Thousand Eyes Restrict is really powerful for instant fusion. But that's it for the main board and extra deck. I can't wait to show you guys some really awesome combos that I think you'll love. Alright guys, so this 2-card combo is really, it's one of my favorite combos. Depending on what you play in your extra deck, you can extend this combo or just have 2 negates on your side of the field and so much advantage or field presence. What you're going to need is Alistair the Invoker and Mekk Knight Blue Sky. I'm going to start off by special summoning the Mekk Knight Blue Sky to my side of the field. My opponent has to control a card in the column, or at least 1 card in the column for this combo to work, and use Mekk Knight Blue Sky to add Mekk Knight Yellow Star. Or actually any Mekk Knight monster, it doesn't matter. I'm then going to follow up with the normal summon of my Alistair the Invoker to add Invocation from my deck to my hand. I'm next going to follow up with the link summon of both my Alistair the Invoker and Mekk Knight Blue Sky for a link summon of Alistair Invoker of Madness. From there, I'm going to activate my Invocation, banishing my Alistair the Invoker and my Mekk Knight Blue Sky to summon my Invoked Makaba. I am then going to trigger the effect of my Alistair the Invoker of Madness, discarding the Mekk Knight card that I search through the effect of Blue Sky to add from my deck to my hand another Invocation. And now for one of the last parts of my combo, I'm going to use Invocation's effect, returning itself to the deck to add Alistair Invoker to my hand. Now there's a couple of things you can follow up with this. If you guys want to, I think the best thing to do is to discard the Alistair the Invoker to give your Invoked Mekk some attack, and then activate your last copy of Invocation to banish the Alistair and the Mekk Knight again to summon your second Invoked Mekk. If you have additional cards in your hand, this is 2 negates and a 1800 attack monster, all off of 2 cards, but I like to extend the combo a little bit further. I might play this card again. You can use both of these cards for an Exceed summon into your True King of all calamities, and this card's a little better because it stops all of your opponent's monster effects, as well as keep 2 cards in your hand so you don't have to discard with Mekk, and it's a 3000 body. I really do like this combo. All of it off of 2 cards, and your opponent controlling at least 1 card or 1 monster, or 1 card actually in their column for you to search off of Mekk Knight Blue Sky. The next card I'm going to show you guys is a 2.5 card combo. The Monster Reborn can be any 1 card in your hand, and it's going to allow you to get a pretty decent board. What you are going to do if you have the Time Maiden is you're going to special summon the Time Maiden to your side of the field since you control no monsters, and then you follow up with the normal summon of Alistair the Invoker. Invoker's effect is going to go ahead and invocation from your deck to your hand, and now you're going to follow up with these 2 monsters, Alistair and Time Maiden, for the link summon of Alistair Invoker of Madness. Go ahead and use your invocation, banishing both the Alistair and the Time Maiden so conveniently a light monster, to special summon your Invoked Mekk from your deck to your hand. Now you can use Alistair Invoker of Madness effect since you did special or fusion summon a monster, discard 1 card from your hand to add Book of Law. So that is a really good combo, and the reason why I like it so much is because you can follow with the invocation returning itself to your deck to add Alistair the Invoker to your hand, but even more importantly, you have 1 negate through Invoked Mekk if you decide to keep the Alistair the Invoker in your hand, or if you decide to pitch it to attack into a monster, you might have some other cards in your hand. But even more importantly, after you negate with Invoked Mekk, you can Book of Law the Invoked Mekk into your Invoked Ragin or your Invoked Harrigan Trio, which will allow you a Ragin to get you another disrupt on your opponent's turn. I have 1 more combo that's pretty similar, or 2 more combos that's pretty similar. One of them is pretty similar to this, another one is just another combo. Okay, so this combo is pretty much the exact same combo as Time Maiden, except we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to use Instant Fusion in place of Time Maiden. It does require more cards out of your extra decks, though. We're going to activate Instant Fusion, paying 1,000 life points to special summon Invoked Ragin to our side of the field, and then we're going to normal summon Alistair the Invoker using its effect to add Invocation from our decks to our hand. Next, we're going to use Ragin and Alistair for a link summon into our Alistair Invoker of Madness, and then we're going to follow up with the Invocation, banishing Alistair and Invoked Ragin to special summon another Ragin from our extra deck to our side of the field. Go ahead and use the effect of Alistair Invoker of Madness, pitching that card from your deck to your hand to add the Book of Law, and then following up by adding the Alistair Invoker from your banish zone to your hand by shuffling the Invocation into your deck. Now this is the exact same combo as you guys seen with the Time Maiden. The only difference is you have the disruption with the Invoked Ragin, and then you can follow up with the Book of Law to turn your Ragin into a Mekk instead of the Mekk into the Ragin. It's essentially the exact same thing. Even more importantly, you can still use Alistair the Invoker's effect after you Book of Law into the Invoked Mekk, pitching it to add Invocation from your deck to your hand. So it's really powerful in that regard. I actually really like those combos. I have 1 more combo that's more Mekk Knight orientated that allows you to kind of pop off with your cards and get some advantage. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the last combo I'm going to show you is so rewarding if your opponent has 2 cards in the same column. The only thing you're going to need is Instant Fusion, Mekk Knight Blue Sky, and Time Maiden in your hand, and you're going to make a pretty good board. Coincidentally, if you don't have Blue Sky, you can substitute it with Purple Nightfall. Purple Nightfall will just summon itself, banish itself to search the Blue Sky, so we're going to take that out of the equation. The first thing you're going to do is special summon Time Maiden into the zone that is not where your opponent has the 2 monsters in the same column. We're going to say, just for all intents and purposes, it's going to be this monster, or this column, where your opponent has 2 cards in the same column. So I'm going to go ahead and special summon Time Maiden to my side of the field, not that column, and then I'm going to summon Mekk Knight Blue Sky and use its effect to add 2 Mekk Knight monsters from my deck to my hand. Now, the Mekk Knight monster that you add with, one of them do not matter, as long as it is a Mekk Knight monster, and then the other one has to be Indigo Eclipse. From there, you're going to use Time Maiden as a link summon into your Link Karibo, and then you're going to set your Instant Fusion face down. Now, since there's 2 cards in this column, you're going going to go ahead and special summon Mekk Knight Indigo Eclipse. And now that I think about it, I don't even think you need Mekk Knight Indigo Eclipse, just another Mekk Knight to summon. From there, you are going to use your Linkuriboh and either of these Mekk Knights, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use Blue Sky and Linkuriboh for a Link summon into Alistair the Invoker. I'm also going to reveal my face down instant fusion, paying 1,000 life points to summon Thousand Eyes Restrict to my side of the field. Now, I did fusion summon a monster to my side of the field since instant fusion is treated as a fusion summon. I'm going to use Alistair the Invoker to pitch Mekk Knight Red Moon from my hands of the graveyard to add Invocation. Finally, I'm going to use all 4 of these monsters for a Link summon into my Borolo Dragon, and then I'm going to follow up with the Invocation. Keep in mind, the Thousand Eyes Restrict actually allowed me to snatch an opponent's monster in the process, so I got to get rid of their monster, as well as summon a Borolo Dragon to get rid of another monster, possibly, and as well as banish a light monster and a dark monster. It kind of doesn't matter, or not a dark monster, a light monster and Alistair, Invoker of Madness, to special summon Macabre. That is just insane. The last thing that you guys could do is, of course, just scrape your opponent, because that is a small little combo that allows you to put a Borolo and a Macabre on your side of the field for practically free, and then your other cards could probably afloat you to victory. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like, and if you didn't, let us know down below in the comment section what we could do to be better. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day like I am.